it's Leah. I've watched To All the Boys I've Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, 6 or 7 times now. And I gotta say that I prefer this one over its predecessor, the very first movie in the trilogy. But it appears that quite a lot of people would disagree with that notion, and I got that impression from reading the comments under the 2 movie trailers. With the first one, you see that comments are generally about the awesome soundtrack, Lara Jean's trendy outfits, how relatable the main character is, and also about how John Ambrose switches ethnicity between the 2 movies. With the second movie, there are comments on how amazing the cinematography is, and how well Lana Condor did as an actress. But mainly, people expressed their disappointment. Some didn't like Lara's character in this film, while some disliked the ending. Spoiler alert, she ends back up with Peter as opposed to John Ambrose. I can sympathize, as I would personally choose John Ambrose for a lot of reasons. One being, we're both interested in diplomacy. I think I'd be able to have lots of intellectual and thoughtful conversations with him. Despite that, I still think P.S. I Still Love You is better than the first one. I guess it just hits differently for everyone. My reasoning is tenfold, and as a disclaimer, some of my reasonings can also be applied to the first film. For example, I praised the soundtrack in the second film. That doesn't mean I hate the soundtrack in the first one. I like both, but I just connect more with the soundtrack in the second movie. So here are my reasons. Number 1, I feel like there are a lot of films and stories, especially for the teenage audience, that are about falling in love and getting into a relationship. But what about the staying in a relationship aspect? I think there is less content for stories about how difficult it is to stay in a relationship. That's why I liked how this film portrays a series of complex issues. Lara Jean, aka LJ, is in a relationship with Peter, but she's also developing feelings for John Ambrose. This issue of having confused feelings isn't uncommon, especially for teenagers who are still trying to figure out who they are and what they want in life, and in their significant other, etc. Honestly, people my age, and even those older than me, may also be experiencing confused romantic feelings. I don't believe that there is just one perfect person for you out there. You are probably compatible with at least a few people in this world, and let's say you are to meet 2 of them at the exact same time. It would be natural to be attracted to both of them. In the case of the movie, LJ is already dating Peter when John Ambrose romantically came into the picture. So of course it's not right for LJ to hide her relationship with Peter from John Ambrose. It's not right for her to lead John Ambrose on, but I think she did consider him romantically. I think there was a point in the movie when she questioned if she would be better off with John Ambrose as opposed to Peter. The movie addresses another complex issue, friendship fallouts. Sometimes you outgrow friendships. Sometimes there's conflict between friends that don't get resolved, which is what happened between LJ and Jen. In a game of Spin the Bottle, LJ kissed Peter, who was Jen's crush at the time. It's up to Jen and LJ, but I think they could have resolved the conflict by using proper communication skills and having a willingness to forgive. In addition, the movie looks into LJ's insecurity with Peter's past relationship and his past sexual relations. The context is that Peter is her first boyfriend, as well as her first kiss. All of the firsts that she's having with him, he's already had them with someone else. I think it's totally valid for her to feel sad or uncomfortable. However, it wouldn't be right for her to be genuinely mad at him. Like, how dare you date other people before you meet me? That would be unreasonable. I also like how the movie shows them establishing boundaries regarding sex. I think being open to such discussion is really important in a relationship. Number 2. All of these complex issues pair well with complex characters. People criticize LJ's character in this movie, and yeah, she's not perfect. But neither is Peter, who could have been more forthcoming with his continued friendship with his ex-girlfriend, as well as the hot tub situation. Naturally, the lack of information causes misunderstandings. And Kitty, she violated LJ's privacy by sending out her love letters without getting permission first, which happened in the first movie, but the consequences of her actions are still playing out in the second one, with the arrival of John Ambrose. Many of these characters have flaws, and my point is that it would be boring to watch flat characters who can easily be deemed good or bad, at least for me. Number 3. The cinematography is such high quality. I absolutely love the aerial shots of the food on the dinner table. And you could see, as the dinner continued on, the food started to disappear. You could also hear the conversation between LJ's father and her mother's side of the family. It was a unique perspective of a family having a meal together, and it also alluded to how LJ's father is now ready to love someone new, aka Mrs. Rothschild. I also love the connection between the one scene when LJ is floating down the hallway at school and the scene where LJ and Peter are floating at the end of the movie. The floating element is the same, but in the first one, LJ is heartbroken. Have you ever been sad or just really out of it, but you still had school or work to get through, so you just do all of that on autopilot? Doesn't it kind of feel like you're floating through your whole day? Like you're doing things kind of subconsciously, but you're not fully aware of what you're doing. I think it's genius to portray that feeling in the way that LJ was floating down the hallway. Contrastingly, LJ and Peter are floating at the end of the movie after they reconciled their relationship. There's a sense of relief, peace, happiness. For some, feeling happy is akin to feeling like floating on air. It's an actual idiom as well. Next, I want to praise the lantern date at the beginning of the movie. I just think it's so aesthetic, and you could feel the thrill of going on a date with someone you really like. I felt butterflies in my stomach on behalf of LJ. Number 4. The soundtrack is spectacular. I found each piece to be very fitting of the scene. In particular, my favorites are Lift Me From the Ground by San Holo and Sophie Winterson, About Love by Marina, and Kill This Love by Blackpink. And well, I love K-pop, including 17, BTS, Blackpink, Astro, Hyuna, and so many more artists. I also love chill songs, like those produced by Jeremy Zucker and Lauv. Number 5. I think this movie, well, the series, is a great example of Asian American representation done right. There hasn't been many Asian American leads in Hollywood until recently, and LJ's character isn't the Asian stereotype of someone being skilled in martial arts or someone really good at math. She's just a teenager in high school, going through her first relationship, as well as dealing with the loss of her mother and the friendship fallout with Jen. Number 6. I also thought the dialogue was very natural. Other films and series, cough cough, The Winx Saga, have dialogue that make it seem very forced and fake woke, but that's another video or something. In the end, I did enjoy The Winx Saga, and I'm hoping for another season, but I do have some critiques. Back to P.S. I Still Love You. The jokes were witty, like when Chris was trying to wink at that woodwork shop scene, and when Lucas misunderstood LJ's comments about her needing a break from the contortions of being someone's girlfriend. And Lucas was like, "Oh no, what's he doing to you?" The romantic dialogue also felt very genuine and heartfelt. When LJ was reading that letter that she wrote to John Ambrose, it was so adorable to see young LJ dressed as a French toast and John Ambrose as a deviled egg. I love the play on words with their costumes. Anyways, in her letter, she was like, "I knew it all the way down to my candy red sneakers. I love you, John Ambrose. I really love you. Why, oh why do you have to move away? Maybe someday we'll meet again, and you'll never know I felt any of this. But I'll know, I'll always know that once upon a time, my heart was yours." I felt that. The dialogue that LJ had with Stormy was very moving too at the end of the movie. LJ and Peter had broken up. She kissed John Ambrose, but only to realize she wished he was Peter instead. You get a sense that she's feeling a ton of regret, and she's fearful of rejection. Stormy confirms that it would certainly hurt like hell if Peter doesn't want her anymore. Number 7. I also like the relatable scenes, like the acapella Valentines, student making out in public, students crying in public, woodwork shop class, and volunteer extracurriculars. Their portrayal of a typical high school in the US matched up with my personal experience of high school, and that made me feel nostalgic in mainly a good way. Number 8. LJ as the main character was very relatable for me. She's an overthinker. I'm an overthinker. She admits to being wrong, and I'm also personally capable of that. She doesn't have a mom to help her navigate life, and I don't either, especially in an emotional sense. A lot of her actions and emotions, I could see myself taking those same actions and feeling those same emotions. I wonder if LJ is an INFJ, like her personality type based on the Myers-Briggs test. Number 9. I think LJ's wardrobe is super cute, and I could see myself wearing the same outfits that she wore. My fashion style is perhaps explorative. I like trying a lot of different aesthetics. Number 10. You don't even need to watch the first movie to understand and enjoy the second one, because of that one scene where Kitty explains the entire first movie in just a few seconds. It's even in the trailer. To understand the nuances, you might want to watch the first one, but I don't think it's necessary. And that's all my praises for P.S. I Still Love You. I do have one critique though. So LJ and Jen's clash is sort of because of Peter, and this aspect of the movie came across very cliche to me. Female characters hating each other over a guy. I think this trope fits okay in this movie, but the narrative is quite overdone. I think overall, P.S. I Still Love You challenges the idea of happily ever after, which doesn't exist in real life. You might just be really compatible with each other that there's no conflicts at all, but that's highly unlikely. I actually think it's a red flag if it seems like there's no conflicts whatsoever, especially in a long-term relationship. That probably means issues arise but are just swept under the rug, never to be sorted out, which gives off the impression that everything is fine. But over time, those issues may pile up, or a certain wound may fester to manifest into a huge problem. In a healthy relationship, I think it's important to resolve issues as they come up, as well as to discuss expectations and boundaries. I really enjoy watching P.S. I Still Love You, and I can't wait to watch the third installment of the trilogy. Please comment down below your response to my rant.